All right, welcome to our December Director's Call today. This is for our 21st Century Community Learning Center Network. Glad to have everybody on the call today who is here. It's my understanding that between the holidays and some social media things, we might have a little lower attendance today, so that's just fine. As with all of these calls, we'll go ahead and get them posted to our website after. So if you need to reference anything back or share any documents, we can certainly do that. If you would be so kind, if you've not already, let's go ahead and have you put your name and your school or site into the chat, and that'll be the way that we kind of take attendance today. And with that being said, I am going to turn it over to Vic to kick us off with some information about financials.
Thank you, Crystal. Let me bring it up on my end where I can read the text a little bit bigger. Okay, CASA has a new designation for risk assessment, and that is failure to submit a claim. So even if you've spent all your money or you don't have anything to submit, they want you to go into CASA and submit a zero claim. You know, just to have that that claim in there that you've gotten into the system once every quarter. Okay. And like I said, if you have questions about it, feel free to email me, but trying to keep you updated on all these changes that are coming at us. And like I said, if you have any problems with the system, contact me and I will work through getting, you know, things resolved. One of the new things is that there's going to be a requirement starting in April that your DUNS number is no longer going to be accepted. You're going to have a unique entity identifier. And I've got some information on that, and I will drop that into the chat. In just a second here. I hear a little one.
Yeah, that'd be me.
That's what we're all about, is taking care of the little ones. Okay, I dropped the link in for how to go about getting the new identifier. And most schools probably already have these, but some of our community groups may not be aware of this change, and that's why it's important for us to talk about some of these things that are coming up. Another thing that just came up is there's some stuff on human trafficking, and I put that in the chat. First off, there's been an Iowa code now requires that if you stay at a hotel that is not certified with some training to identify human trafficking, state funds can no longer be used. So that applies to everyone. It's in, you know, Iowa code. So we have to make sure that before, if we book some kind of PD event, to make sure that hotel is certified so that we can get reimbursed for our funds. And keep in mind, if you're going to some meeting, that's a new requirement, starts in January of 2022. And I put some resources in the chat on that, not only the Iowa code, but a couple of websites that you can use as a reference. Right now, there's not a lot of hotels. So, you know, you may want to contact the hotel, let them know, because sometimes they're not aware of these requirements. And that's a good thing. We need to do everything we can to combat human trafficking. A couple years ago, I was able to provide information to the state, and we were shut down one site in West Des Moines that was operating out of a massage place. So, this really does help it, everybody working together, because nobody wants to see this kind of stuff happening to anyone. And, a lot of the people we work with are the most vulnerable. And, we want to make sure we're doing everything to protect folks here in Iowa. Does anybody have any questions on all that? That was quite a bit of stuff that I threw at you.
So folks, I just want to gently remind people that, again, all of our directors' calls are recorded and the agendas are posted on this link here. So if you would like to come back to this agenda, this was a late-minute addition. It was not in the document that was sent out to you earlier this week. You can access the links to the codes as well as the website here, if that's interesting.
And that's my fault, because I just got the update on the human trafficking today, and I wanted to share it with you because it takes effect in January.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions about either the new hotel requirements or anything related to CASA?
Okay, well, if you think of something, later, just make sure you email me. I want to thank everyone for doing a great job on the APR. We hit 100%. So that's always wonderful when we can do that.
Okay.
The next item is local evaluations. We're going to be kind of laid back this time. We've got a lot of extensions out there. And, I wanted to also let you know, Rusty had some heart surgery, and I talked to him this morning. He's recovering well, and we're going to start next week with our first meeting to review. And we've got enough in so far that we can get started. And it's not a problem if you need a second extension. Just send me another email. It takes several months for us to go through these and read. We actually read your local evaluation. We check over your data, make sure that your numbers are adding up. We may ask for clarification, and then finally we aggregate that data into the state report. So, that being said, one other thing, just a reminder that when you have a local evaluator, that has to be someone outside of your organization. You can't do your own evaluation. That's why, for our state evaluation, we've got folks that an outside company to do it. It's a third party so that you have some objectivity about your work. And make sure that your evaluators, are not just looking at data. You can bring them out and let them see your program and ask questions, maybe do interview, some of the families, staff, and that just makes for a better local evaluation. The thing that I see over and over again is you guys not giving yourselves credit for all the wonderful things you do. And a lot of times I'll say, they forgot to put this in, and this is great stuff. So I'd like you to toot your own horns. If you're doing something great, for example, we've got a lot of sites that they are serving more kids than they put in their, in their application. They may have said, okay, we're going to serve 50 kids at this site, and you're serving 70 kids. And, we can, of course, give you more money, but you've got partners. So you've got, a couple of nice things. You're serving more kids in need. You're working in your community to create those partnerships. And those are things you can put into your local evaluation, and that we'll certainly share with the feds, because, Iowa's doing a tremendous job, and, we need to get the word out.
Right. Any questions about local evaluation for Vic today? You can unmute or you can drop those into the chat. And I also, again, I'm just going to say this one more time because we had a couple of people who joined us perhaps just a little bit late. Please be sure to drop your name and your site into the chats for attendance purposes if you've not already done so.
Yeah, and take a look at the chat because I've got some resources in there for you.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to program updates then, and I'll kind of take the lead here, but Vic, hop in if you need to. So as Vic said, everyone did a nice job with their APR entry. Just that kind of necessary reminder that if you do fail to complete your APR data, that would be considered non-compliance. So if that's the situation, I'm sure Vic will be having a discussion with you.
Well, let me give you a little more of an update. You know, the feds have tweaked the new system and now it's creating reports. And so I get a report several times, not just the one that I share with you. They're monitoring me every week. And unlike other things, sometimes if you do something in non-compliance, we can work together and get you back into compliance. However, if you don't put your data in and they close the window, we're sunk. I mean, we can't go back and fix that. Keep in mind, over the last few years, we've had several times where they tried to completely end this program, and it's the data that was in that APR system that kept us going. Congress looked at that and they said, no, we're not ending this program. It's too important for at-risk kids. So this is our lifeline, and make sure that we're getting that data in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So we will have the new APR window dates that'll be coming out. We're thinking that that'll be in February or so. So look for an email from Vic, and then we'll also include it into the agendas so everybody's aware of those dates. But again, that'll be coming later this winter, first part of spring. I do have a few committee updates that I just wanted to share with everyone today. So we were fortunate to be able to meet with the committee chairs earlier this week. The Communication, Sustainability, and Partnership Committee, which is chaired by Elena Zalar out of Council Bluffs. That committee is doing a really nice job of attempting to break down some silos or barriers that we have from each individual committee just kind of doing their own thing and maybe not communicating effectively across the network with each other. Moving forward, we have a way to collect some of that kind of summary information from each of those committees, which will make it easier for us to share out templates, work, thoughts, ideas, all of that great stuff across the entire 21st Century Network, so that if you're planning an event or you're looking for a template, you'll be able to easily access that information in a way that is much more user-friendly. So I just want to give a shout out to the CSP committee for that. Also just want to give a quick update from the Family Engagement Committee. So something that became very apparent from our professional development annual report was that sites indicated that they would like more information, more professional development opportunities, and so on and so forth connected to family engagement. And under the co-chairs of that committee, which include Shani Ford from Davenport and John Spinks with Oak Ridge, they are working on putting together a shared informational source that will be made available to the network soon. This will be a great place that all things family engagement will live, including some guides, ideas, tips, hints, and even just some information or things that you can download and just almost immediately use at your site. So more to come on that. I just kind of wanted to give you a taste of what's happening with the committees there.
Crystal, let me share something about family engagement. You know, we're not the only ones that have to have family engagement meetings. Title I also is required to have family engagement meetings. And I want to offer that you could partner with them and have one meeting that addressed both programs. That's not a problem. It might be easier for some people than for others. And we want you to have one per quarter, and we want to see some expense documented on your claim spreadsheet for that event. So it's always good to connect with parents. And I know sometimes parents feel they're overwhelmed because they're always having something at the school that they want them to come for. And maybe by combining Title I and Title IV-B, we can get more parents to attend.
That can also be a really nice way to share in some of those costs. I know when I was running program, we often partnered with our Title I, and if they provided X and Y, we provided A and B. Yeah, it was just a nice way to be able to share some of those costs. I do also want to touch base, following up from a discussion that I believe we had in October about the potential for a redesign of our committee structure. Please know that this is still kind of in the works. From an internal perspective, we're thinking about, what this might look like, if there are committees that more directly align with each other, that we could potentially do some combining in some way, shape, or form. But we're really thinking that this probably will not take effect until spring of 2022, or even perhaps to kick off the new fiscal year. So there's just a little bit of legwork that needs to be done internally. But again, we'll just keep everybody posted as to the progress of that. And as always, we invite your comments, your suggestions, your questions, anything to help that process along.
Okay, let me say this on the committees. They were designed to help you guys with your work, and also to keep us informed on your needs. So it's a two-way communication conduit. And if some of these committees are not fulfilling the role that we had originally intended, we can, can change that and, make revisions, updates. We can do whatever we need to do to make sure that what we're doing is meaningful and effective for you guys in the field.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing that I was going to share with everyone today, just again, as we kind of wrap up this calendar year, is I had sent an email out regarding confirmation of committee involvement. You know as well as I do that there is often a lot of changeover or a lot of repositioning of people connected to programming. So instead of sending an entire year of calendar invitations when it comes to things like committees or best practice webinars or directors meetings, instead we found it to be easier to do these in kind of 6-month chunks or segments. So next Monday will be the last day that I will be working of 2021, and I will be sending out those calendar invitations for January through June so that you'll have those on your schedules. Again, we'll continue with holding these via Zoom because that was the request of people, and I think it's worked pretty well. But again, if you have other feelings, love to hear those. The calendar invitations that are to be sent, again, confirming those committee rosters. If you have not yet replied to my request to confirm that committee roster, please do so by the end of the day today. And then as directors, I may reach out to you individually just to say, hey, is Mary still on your staff? She's not replied, but we'll confirm that all on Monday or later this afternoon. So thanks again for being really quick to do that for me. Okay, any questions about committee updates, scheduling, anything of that nature? Okay, so going to move on. I think we also rather casually mentioned at our last director's call that moving forward, we're going to change the structure of our best practice webinars. So instead of having these be every single month, we're going to take a quarterly approach to these moving forward. So with that being said, I've been able to visit with Vic. We've determined what we feel like could be a good kind of internal timeline for that, and that information will be coming. We'll still keep the Tuesday time slot, just because, again, that's kind of what's ingrained in our brains. But again, quarterly versus monthly. One thing, though, that we do want to reach out to everyone on the call today for is content. When we think about a best practice webinar, and again, these will be like hour-long sessions held virtually, what is it that you guys want us to focus on? What topics would you like us to cover? And the Professional Development Committee has been really great. That's led by Cassie from Burlington, so thank you for that. They've been really great about kind of brainstorming those short lists, but I also wanted to open it to the rest of the directors who are on the call today. Again, just to see if there's anything out there that you guys would like us to address. And if you have a suggestion for a guest speaker or a curricula or some kind of online content, would love to have that too. So if you have immediate thoughts, I would invite them here. If not, please drop into the chat or send me an email and let me know what some of your ideas are. So I'm going to pause just to see if we have immediate ideas on the call today. You guys are kind of a quiet group. I'm kind of sensing that there might be like the end of year, I really need a holiday break vibe going on here. I just saw Jackie smile, so maybe I hit it on the head there. But okay, so I will move on. But again, please shoot me an email with some of those suggestions for ideas or comments. Cassie agrees. Yes, indeed. Okay, two other quick things under program updates. At our January meeting, I will be glad to share out the professional development summary. So again, this was the document that was due back in September. It allows us to be able to kind of gauge where people are doing their professional development internally, if there's gaps in services, how we can potentially respond to those gaps, and so on and so forth. And also to kind of go back up to the committee thought, the Professional Development Committee is also considering putting together some support or guidance on how we might move forward with perhaps a more uniform reporting on that document. I think that'll make things a little bit easier for us in the long run. So at our January call, I'll be happy to share this past 2020-2021 school year results with everyone. And hopefully that'll start kind of getting our brains moving forward too with some of those ideas for potential speakers, best practices. We'll also be thinking about our spring and summer workshops that are coming up. So that'll hopefully spark some good information there. And then we'll also keep everybody updated as to the progress of the committee at that point then too, and providing some of that information for us to have a more uniform reporting mechanism. So good things there. I'm gonna preemptively apologize. The UPS man just pulled up and my dog has like a really love-hate relationship with him. She doesn't like his truck, but she loves the fact that he brings her cookies. So if you hear, I may have to mute for barking, but so, okay. The last thing in this particular section is our reminder about the annual survey. This was mentioned at our last director's call. It's due January 21st. However, if you need an extension for this, just simply send us an email. We'll be glad to give you a few extra days, or, you know, we'll talk about it and we'll determine the timeline that's necessary for complete and accurate reporting. This is the link to get you to the survey itself. I have emailed out the PDF of the survey so that you can complete it ahead of time. It is a bit lengthy, and our apologies for that, but please know that everything that you put into that survey goes into the statewide report. So it is very valuable information for Vic to have in particular. We really appreciate your willingness to do that. If you need a copy of that PDF, just reach out to me and I'm happy to email that to you individually then as well.
So let's back up one to the FERPA explained document.
Oh, yes.
That's really important because now that we've got our last of the old GEPRA measures in, we're going to be working with brand new measures. We've only got 5, and that document has all those GEPRA measures in there. And it was also created with an explanation about FERPA because a lot of our community groups have difficulty working with district data people. And so it explains where we are with FERPA, that we're not violating it. And then it goes on to give them the exact 5 GEPRA measures. And so that they can do the reports necessary to get that data for you. So, that's going to be very important for you to have for the next year. And I want to thank our evaluation committee. They did a lot of work getting us ready for the new measures.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by the UPS man there. I guess maybe I skipped over that. So if you're looking for that FERPA document, it does live on our iowa21cclc.com website. It's on our grant info page. And again, if you're having trouble finding that, reach out to me and I'm happy to get that to you right away. Okay, so that concludes our program update section of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions for me or Vic regarding program updates? Okay, Vic, I'm going to turn it back over to you for a quick update regarding the RFA process for the year.
Okay. Well, we received 9 applications, and of those 9, 3 were from rural sites. And, we've got folks applying from all over the state. And this is a really good year for funding compared to last year. We've got a couple $1 million more to provide for programs. And so it looks really good for next year. And hopefully we can get things out just as quickly as possible. We will be a little bit delayed in the peer review. It's not going to take place in January. It won't take place until February in 2022, but that should not be any kind of a delay as far as getting the award announcements done and the contracts and things like that. So I think overall the online application worked very well. And I've got PDF copies of all those applications. And I think the process went real well. And I want to thank the Iowa After School Alliance for doing an outstanding job on that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would like to take a quick side note here and say that if you were one of the entities that applied, or if you perhaps decided not to apply, if you have any feedback for us regarding the online platform, past the fact that we absolutely know that we need to be able to save on the way and things like that, I would love to have that information. I do think that next year's RFA is probably going to look even different. So it will not be the same online platform, but because the Iowa After School Alliance kind of owns that platform, for lack of a better explanation, if we would decide to use it for any other purpose, I would love to have the feedback so that we can move forward with making improvements for future applications that are maybe not connected to 21st Century. So again, shoot me a quick email, give me a phone call. Love to have that information. And our graphic designer would also really appreciate that information as well. So, okay. Moving on to updates from the Iowa After School Alliance. We are simply in the process of wrapping up the calendar year. We submitted to and received funding from the Mott Foundation for the next 3 years. that work allows us to be able to continue to partner with 21st Century, of course, but it also allows us to do a further reach to those non-21st century sites. It allows us to do some work around advocacy, education, training, things of that nature. So I would say look for some really good things to come in 2022 as it pertains to out of school in general. I am also going to share with you today that Brittany Samuelson, who recently was married, so now she is Brittany Applegate, she has actually stepped down as the network lead for the Iowa After School Alliance because she is now dedicating her time and energy and efforts to a central Iowa region project called Capital Crossroads. So she's doing an excellent job with that. She's still in our office, still there for kind of that historical point of reference and so on and so forth. But that meant that we were in need of a new network lead for the Iowa After School Alliance, and that's me. So, so with that being said, it should not change how I work with any of you in any way, shape, or form. I'm still here for you in terms of the logistical support connected to 21st Century, but just know that you may also be seeing additional communications with me, or if you have partners out in the field who are not 21st Century sites, my name might be thrown around the state a little bit more here as well. So questions about anything connected to the IAA? Okay. Then last but not least, as we move into other, oh, thank you, Heidi. Again, you'll find the information for the directors' meetings at this link. As we said, here's the information about the human trafficking information as it pertains to the hotel information that Vic shared. And we did decide that we are not going to do a director's call in January. There's just several things that are happening internally and a few other things that are happening with Vic and our personal schedules. So we will go ahead and skip our January meeting. You may have noticed I just quickly changed this professional development summary to February instead of January. So any questions, comments, concerns that we want to talk through today? I'm going to go ahead and take the agenda down. Okay.
Let me also update you guys. The Department of Ed is going to have a big summer symposium, and we've been promised a thread for professional development. And I have a couple of topics so far for us, and one of them will be sustainability. And I've already asked Dave Welter if he could do that. And then social emotional learning. And I've already asked Dow Jock if he could do that. So, you know, we've been doing SEL for many years. A lot of us just didn't call it SEL. We just, you know, there was just the right way to work with kids, to listen to their problems, to talk with them, and to try to help them as best we could. So, you know, just because they put a new label on something doesn't mean that you're not doing it. You may have just been calling it something else.
Yeah. John, I see you raised your hand.
Oh, this is Barb. When is that conference? Do you have dates?
Nope. As soon as I get the dates, I'll communicate it to you guys.
It's a secret.
You know,
okay.
It's pre-planning. And John,
okay.
You know, you took your mic off mute, but we didn't hear you.
Yeah. And while John's getting off mute, I will say we'll also be sure when we know dates for that conference, we'll get that in the Iowa After School Alliance newsletter as well. Okay. Mr. Spinks, are you able to talk now? No, we still can't hear you, John. John, are you able to use the chat? Okay, let's try that. So any other thoughts or comments while John is typing?
I just want to thank everybody because this has been a rough year. We still had a lot of pandemic things we had to work through, and you've all done a wonderful job.
Yeah, I'll second that motion. Thank you, Billy. Did we miss anything in the chat, by the way? Sometimes when I'm talking and sharing, I kind of miss things. So if you posted a question and we didn't address it, please speak up now if you don't mind. Okay, and while we're doing that, I also wanted to share with you, oh, John, thanks for your support. Yeah, wonderful. Also wanted to share with you that we also download the chat file and get that posted as well. So you'll be able to grab any links that are shared in there. So, all right, well, folks, we're gonna give you back the gift of about 20 minutes of your time today. Really appreciate you hopping on the call. I know that several school districts are dealing with a lot of stuff pertaining to this strange social media thing, but then also just the end of the year. I hope everybody has a great holiday. Take a break, you all deserve it. And when we get back in 2022, we'll be fired up and ready to go. So that being said, I'll go ahead and end the recording.